Advent season. Let me back up, because I think in order for us to understand joy, we got to stop celebrating Christmas. This is not Christmas. Advent. Christmas does not start until he is born. And he's not born yet. He's coming. But we've been celebrating Christmas since Black Friday. You know, you've been buying money, buying toys, spending cash, buying gifts. That ain't got nothing to do with Christmas. It's some type of tradition that somebody started so that they can boost the economy and make rich folk rich and poor folk poor. That's why so many people get depressed at Christmas. Supposed to be happy at Christmas. There are more suicides at Christmas than any other time of the year. You would think folk would kill themselves over the 4th of July, because everybody became independently free but black folk. You would think folk would kill themselves at Thanksgiving, because they double-crossed us. Took the Indians and had a dinner and had Thanksgiving, then took their land. Pushed them out of their own land. But Christmas, the time of ho, 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 and holly jolly, have a good time. Folk are depressed because we don't fully understand the purpose of the holiday that we are really supposed to be celebrating. Isaiah 35 gives us a picture, a prophetic picture of how to establish joy in your life. Isaiah talks about Israel and Judah and Assyria and how they got cut off. They got cut off simply because they stopped following God. And God turned his back on them. You did not keep up to your end of the covenant relationship. I said I would be your God, and you said you would be my people. But you did things the way you wanted to do them. So I said, well, I'm going to cut you off. That's why when Isaiah talks about dry places and deserts, God cut off their prosperity. They had to feed for themselves. Then he talks about making a highway out of nowhere. And I thought to myself, why does the Old Testament talk about highways when highways hadn't been invented yet? And then I realized, you know, when we read these, and a lot of us do, when we hear these words in the Bible, highway, we think about I-40, Interstate 65, 24, 5 or 6 lanes, 65, 70 miles speed limit, passing lanes, exit ramps, all this good stuff that we call expressways nowadays. But that's not the highway God is talking about. It's a highway that we get into a lot of debate over, because we don't want to acknowledge it as a highway. Turn to your neighbor and tell him this morning, it's my way or the highway. Don't let the doorknob what's her name? Can't remember her name. Kelly, Tina somebody. Yeah, the dress that she wore in promoting her new single album, which some folk don't like. Now we are caught up. Someone say the dress ain't holy enough. It ain't holy enough. There's a debate in whether or not we as Christians, in the essence of being Christians, should be accepted and embrace things that are just not normal in the concept of churchhood. Come on. If you come to church with pants, or if you come to church looking like this, or if you come to church acting like that, or if you come to church doing this, and we try to figure out, well, you have to embrace them. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you have to welcome them. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have to let sinners in your door. Yes, you do. 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 But you don't have to stay that way.
That's right. That's right.
God is saying, I forgive you, yes. But when you accept me as your Lord and your Savior, yes, you make a commitment to get on the highway. My way is no longer good. Your acceptance of Jesus Christ into your life is your ticket to get on the highway. And the highway is just that. It is a higher way of living. So when folk call you stuck up, tell them, yes, I am stuck up because I'm a child of God and I refuse to live according to the lowness of this world anymore. I'm saved, I'm trying to be sanctified, and I'm trying to be a child of God. And I've got to act like a child of God. I got to walk like a child of God. I got to be a child of God. I can't hang out with folk who want to go to hell no more. I want to be saved. I got to change the way I walk. I got to change the way I talk. I got to change the way I think. If you want to be holy, you got to act holy. You got to think holy. You got to live holy. You got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That you want to be a child of God. And when you get to that point in your life, you'll find joy. Because I discovered we get upset over stuff we ain't got no business getting upset over. When you walk with God, you have a way of letting that trivial stuff go. I can care less what folks think about me and my dress. I'm ashamed to the Lord. If my dress ain't holy enough for you, that's too darn bad. I'm not here to show off my dress. I'm here to let you know that Jesus saves, and you ought to be saved as well. Because when God calls for me, I'm going to stand at his gate, and I'm going to enter into this life. If you ain't there, I really don't care. I would love for you to be there, don't get me wrong. before Christians became Christians, in the book of Acts, Christians in Antioch were first labeled Christians. We talked about this in Bible study. Not because they were titled, it was a title given for. Coming down and giving your hand to Jesus at this altar doesn't make you a Christian.
All right.
It just makes you somebody who came down this aisle and repented of your sin and expressed a desire to join the church and join Christ.
Yeah.
Being Christian is not something you become until you start doing it.
Come on, brother.
Brother Michael, we're talking about Brother Michael's going off here. And I'm sure Brother Michael will tell you the same. Anybody can walk into the Carolina office and say, I want to play for your team. And they'll probably look at him just to see if they look like a football player. See me walk in the office, you got a suit on. And you don't look like a football player just because you got a suit on. Even if they think they have an inkling that you can play, they're going to put you on the field and they're going to ask you to get down in a football stance. Now, if you don't know how to get into a football stance, that's a sign. That's a sign that you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what a football stance is. And when the quarterback say hike, you go up and shoot a jump shot. That's a sign. That's a sign that you are not a football player. Maybe you need to go over and try out the Charlotte Bobcats. That might be perfect, because you think in your mind you're a football player and you're really trying to play basketball. You're not a football player until you get out on the field and start knocking some folk over, catching passes and doing all those things football players do. So in your spiritual life, you're really not a Christian until you learn how to love folks. You're really not a Christian until you learn how to feed the hungry. You're really not a Christian until you learn how to give to others over and beyond yourself. And yes, I'm going to say it. You're really not a Christian until you can learn to free your finances. All right. We are calling ourselves something that we're not exactly practicing.
That's right. All right.
Because the highway, first off, is a hollow way. See, in the Old Testament, they didn't call them Christians because the lane was not labeled yet. They were people who just knew the way. They knew the way. And if you knew the way, you knew how to get saved.
All right.
Now, follow me here because there's an interesting development happening. In the Old Testament, God called himself I am. Want to know who I am? I am. Because I am have sent me. When Jesus came, he didn't call himself a Christian. He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the light.
All right.
I am the way, the truth, and the light. So if you want to see Jesus, like that song, I am and the way seem to go together. So you must understand the way. And the way is not always easy. Because the way is a hollow way. A great road will go through the once desert land. This is Isaiah 35:8. And it will be named the highway of holiness. It says evil-minded people will never travel on it. It will only be for those who walk in God's ways. Fools will never walk there. So to get on the highway, you got to become not evil-minded. You got to get rid of that. You got to give up your foolish ways.
All right.
You got to change the way in which you live. Because you can't get to heaven except the highway. You can't go down Saundersville Road. That ain't gonna take you there. You can go down Neatmore Road over here to this road back here down to Lebanon Road and go any which way you want to go, but you still won't find heaven there. As we travel through life, we are confronted with the choice between two ways, the highway and the low way. The low way is very easy because I ain't got to do nothing on the low way. I can just sit back. Even on a highway, if we were to use a highway for an example, even on a highway, you got to know what you're doing. Because highways are probably the biggest demonstration of hypocrisy I've ever seen in my life. Because the speed limit is 65, but at 7 o'clock in the morning when everybody's trying to get to work,